Hey Bookworms, we are going to do our weekly Whimsy cover. So we're going to go ahead and get started to paint with this. And I've got all my little paint tubes here. Looks like I'm missing one. Probably my white. Is that what it is? Missing? No? I don't know. I'm missing one of my paint tubes. I got plenty of paint. I'm not going to worry about it. Alright, I've got my palette here. I've got my water and I've got my paint brushes. I'm mainly going to use a couple of the smaller ones. And then I might go back and use some colored pencil. We'll see at the end. I've done that in the past on these little pre-printed canvases and that worked really well. But first we're just going to worry about painting, okay? So obviously we need all the greens because Forest and, Robin Hood. I hope you guys are enjoying the book so far. I really like it. This one's been fun. Alright, so I'm just going to get my 3 greens out first. Those are mainly all I want to do. And the awesome thing about these pre-printed canvases is that they already have sort of like your shade and light going on. So you don't have to be as good of a painter, which is a little more relaxing for all of us, even if you're a fantastic artist like some of you are. Or even those that are beginners can do this, and it's just supposed to be like an enjoyable paint, right? So, and then in the video after this, I will show you how to put this together with your weekly Whimsy booklet and everything, the photo album. All right, so I've got my flat small brush. You can use whatever you want. And I'm going to start off with the medium tone green. And I'm going to use the water and make like a wash. And if you notice how this is how I paint everything, and this is what I've noticed like in my paint parties and stuff with people, is they don't go the direction that either it's growing or moving or laying. So when you paint, especially with something like this where there's like a texture, if you're not trying to create like a solid necessarily, so I am going the direction, see how the creases are right here in his hood? I'm pulling the paint that direction. And what that does then, it creates like natural folds and texture that you're wanting. So if I went this way, you'd have lines that way, and that's not the way the fabric is moving. So it doesn't make sense to do that because you want to work with the fabric. So like here, it goes up over his shoulder and down. See that? You want to make the same movement, whatever the fabric is moving or how the trees are moving. And what you're doing then is working along with what you're painting, right? So you can see these lines and it almost creates more folds in his hood. So that's exactly what we want. So right here it hangs straight down and sort of curves. Now that being said, you can go across, but at your final stroke needs to be going the same direction, okay? So like you see I'm going across right here because I want a nice crisp line across that bow. But I'm going to pull down to get the creases. Okay? And I am going to allow this to sort of be see-through. So some of the white and the gray, all of that can like see. We can see the lines and everything. So I'm not going to take this real dark. I'm going to work with the print. So you can see right there, I'm going around his arm. You can see the texture. There we go. And then, so the sleeve, and then I'm going to go straight down through there to create like his tunic. So I'm going to coat a lot of this in this medium tone. And you can see as I go, like if I'm trying to get a real straight line, I turn my brush perpendicular, and it gives me a thin straight line. That's why I love my flat brush so much. I feel like I can cover a lot of area at one time or get real nice crisp lines. Okay, so right here we've got like his cloak coming down. And then I'm going to do the cloak underneath here. All right. And then I need this right here between his straps to be green. And that should naturally be a little darker than some of those other areas because of it being already shaded for me. Okay, so there's his basic cloak and tunic. I'm gonna rinse my brush out. I'm gonna let that dry. And then I'm gonna do some of the green over here while that's moving around, or while that's drying rather. I say such weird stuff when I'm doing these videos sometimes. Actually, my husband teases me. I say weird stuff a lot, so. All right, so I'm picking up my darker green. Do some of these evergreens, and I am just gonna, like I said again, I'm going to like sort of thin it out and let that the dark parts of the paint, the print underneath come through. I'm gonna just get my paint on there now, and then, like I said before, I'm gonna get the texture in there. So turn my brush on the side. See how it's creating like the texture in the paint? I'm creating like almost like branch. Look at that. So it looks like an evergreen. Okay. And then at this point, you can mix different greens together to get different things going on. So I've got a little bit of the dark green, a little bit of that medium green. You can see I'm just like wiggling my brush, and I always like to start with the outline first. Then I'm gonna pull that in, and then now I'm gonna like pounce my brush to give it more texture that way. I'm gonna grab some yellow and put that on my palette so I can mix while it's still wet. So the good thing and the bad thing about these pre-printed canvases is they have like a sealant on them, sort of. So they do not dry quickly, which is nice because you can sort of blend right on your canvas. But that also means they don't dry quickly, so it just depends on what you're doing. So I'm gonna grab some of this yellow ochre, and then I'm gonna tap. While this is still wet, I'm gonna tap some of this yellow right in the top of my bush there. And it creates like that highlight, and then I'm gonna grab some of this dark and darken up the bottom of the bush. See how that starts to, and then in the middle it sort of meets like a medium tone. So it gives you like a more of a natural shadow. So I need to add a little bit more. I'm gonna just add, so you can see I'm starting at the bottom and pulling up. Almost like flicking my brush. Let me make sure I'm still in the video. Yep, okay, good. Couldn't remember how far So we're just trying to create the leafy textures. Once that dries, you'll have all that texture in there. Ooh, that was a lot. I didn't mean to grab that much. I'll take that a little bit higher. All right. darker bush here. So you just want to change up the greens. And the foliage is really easy to play around with. Down here again, I want it to be darker. The bottom of the bush. And see, there's no real definition down here, which is okay. So we're just gonna make it up as we go. And watch how I pounce my brush. And this time I'm gonna pick up a little bit of white and do the same thing. But that way that it looks a little different than that bush next to it. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to rinse my brush again. And then we need a bush over here. So I'm going to do a yellowish color, and I'm going to mix a little green into that as I go. There we go. So I went mainly in with the yellow ochre. I don't want to cover up his bow, so I'm going to go real carefully around that. Same thing with his clothing. I don't want to mess that up. And then I retexture after I get done. All right, I'm going to do the same yellowish green on this other side. Probably should have done dark actually, so that it stands. There we go. So I don't have to wash my brush too much since I'm just moving from one green to another, which is cool. I'm gonna bring this down. Just darken this all up under here. Okay. All right, so for the bottom down here, I'm going to use this lighter green. So I've got like almost it's almost a neon green really. And I'm just going to coat all of this, and I still have not washed my brush. It's all right. It will be pretty. Lots of different colors and greens going on. Probably might add a little brown in here at the bottom. You can see there's some grass tufts in there and stuff as well. So we can add that in. And then right around him we want to be careful again. So I'm going to get that around his clothing and his bow. All right. And then I'm going to grab some of this dark, some grass. See how I'm flipping my brush and I'm like fanning as I go. So just some grass here and there. Just add in some shade underneath the bushes is all I'm doing right there. Okay. I don't think I am going to add any brown. I like how this all looks. So add a little more grass here and there with some of the medium color now. All right, I'm gonna leave that as it is for now. And I'm gonna go back to him. I'm gonna grab my round, was it the number 5? And I need to grab a couple different colors of brown here. I'll need those as well. So I'm gonna do my burnt umber. And I'm gonna grab my burnt sienna. So a reddish brown and like a dark brown. Now if you don't have all these colors, that's okay. You can always mix. Okay, dip my brush in the water. And then I need to put some of his detail on him. I'm gonna give him some brown pants first of all. And then put I can't remember what these things are called for when you shoot the arrow. The leather that protects your forearm. Get that. And then I'll just get some of his straps and stuff on here. You can see sort of a lot of these details. So I'm just going to outline all this and then I'll let this dry and I'll probably do like a wash over that so I can keep a lot of this same detail that's happening in there. Okay. And then okay. Let me see. I want to do his bow. And you can see I'm pressing firmer as I go down and that thickens my line. Right, so you start very light up here and press harder and harder and harder until it thickens to the point of how thick your bow is. I'm going to rotate this around so I can do the same thing on this one because it's easier for me to pull down. All right. And then let's see, I'm gonna do his arrow. Let's see if I can get that. That's the hardest part. Straight arrow. Sort of shaken. All right. I'm gonna get some black out. I'm gonna use this very little, but I do want the tip of the arrow to stand out nicely. So I'm gonna use the black for that. It's too much water on my brush. Alright, so then I also need to do a skin tone for him, and then there's this detail of, I think this must be, I don't know if that's the tool that pulls, no, because that's not a crossbow. I don't know what this is. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Some type tool he has on his thing. I don't know. I guess it's the quiver, but I don't know what this part is down here. This looks like the quiver right here, and it has arrows, I think, but I'm not sure what this part is hanging down there. Okay. So we need to make a good skin tone, and I don't have a good skin tone in my kit I got sitting here. So what I'm going to do, I should have the colors I need. I'll pull that over so you guys can see. I'm going to use a little of the yellow ochre, a little bit of white, actually more white than, there we go. Probably should use more white than that. And then a touch of the, is that the burnt umber, right? Is that what that is? Burnt sienna, burnt sienna. So then you can see it's starting to get sort of peachy. I need more white because it's still too dark. And there is a decent skin tone. Okay. So I've got three different skin tones I can use there. I'm going to rinse my brush out because it's so goopy now from mixing. But now I have my skin tone I like. So I can go right over him with this. What is happening? Okay. And then I can use a little bit of this darker color to give some shade to his skin. So that mid-tone that I mixed earlier. So I'm just going to go around the edges while the lighter color is still wet, and this will give me some shadow. Oops. Okay. I need some brown hair on him. I'm doing little short strokes to give the texture like I was talking about earlier. All right, I like it. And then this should be dry enough. Yes, we can do the wash for this bags here, and then I'm gonna do like the burnt sienna, and I'm gonna just go over all of that. Give it just a light brown wash. And then I'm grabbing some of my dark brown again, darkening up some of this. And then I want to darken up his pants a little. All right. I'm gonna try, I don't know if I want to do this, but I'm gonna try like a green, the light green over this area back here that's already got the gray. Yeah, I like that. So I'm just hitting these pine trees in the background here with the really light green, and I'm making it really watered down so that's like a greenish gray color. Oh yeah, that looks cool. And I've got it watered down enough that I don't have to worry about if I go over my bushes down below. I'm going to go right over that tree. Just this whole background area here of the forest. I'm going to hit with this really light green. Alright, so I've got this tree here. I'm going to add a little more, I'm going to add some of the medium tone to this tree just to give it some texture. Alright, rinse my brush again. And then I'm going to do a yellowish green, some of this yellow ochre for the hills in the back. So I'm going to do I want it a little more watered down than that. I want more of a wash. And then I'm going to add the green in. There we go. Before it dries, I'll add some of the green detail in. Alright, I'm going to pick up some of the medium green, and there's like a little bit of a hill here. So I'll put some of that green in there and just sort of move it around. And then up here by the castle, there's some bushes here around the castle. Add those, and they should be well watered down because this is, you know, it's off in the distance, so. I'm just tapping some of that green in there to break it up. Okay. Rinse my brush again, and then I'm going to switch back to my round brush. And then I want to do my round 5. We're going to put the branches in. I'm going to flip this over. So, because all the stuff I just did is sort of wet. And I'm gonna make my branches. So I'm gonna start with the thin side. I always like to start thin, but it's up to you. So less pressure, and then it gets thicker as it goes. Honestly, I shouldn't be doing this yet. Hold on. Watch this. This is cool though. Watch this about this. If you hate this, I even actually was playing with this not long ago, and I rinsed it off under the water when I was like not liking what I was doing. So that's actually really neat. Look at that. So let's not do that yet because I want to do the sky. All right. I'm gonna grab my blue. So I just got like the ultramarine blue, which is just like a medium royal blue. A flat brush, some water. I'm going to do just like a blue wash. Let's start up at the top. And I'm going to go right over the castle really lightly. Okay, and on this side. Actually, before it dries too much, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a paper towel. It's pretty wet, and I'm just going to scrunch it up and pounce it, and it'll create like cloud texture and pick up some of that water, so it'll dry quicker too, and then you'll get like a sunny looking or a blue cloudy sky there. I'm gonna pick up some of that paint off there. There we go. And then same thing, I'm gonna pounce some of this color back off, give it sort of a cloudy texture. All right, there we go. Now we can do the trees. So I'm gonna go back to my round brush again. And now I'm gonna do the same thing I just did with my trees. Roll my brush in the paint. Very little pressure as you start it off, and then you press harder as you go. And I didn't really add much water to doing this because I want it nice and, I do need to add a tiny bit to my brush. But you don't want it, we're not trying to create a wash this time, we're trying to keep the thickness and the consistency of the acrylic for the trees. It really makes a difference with the crispness and the lines. All right, look how cool that's looking. Okay, there's one tree down, and then we'll do the other over here. And then I will do another video after this to show you how I put a lot of the detail in. I'm gonna turn this way now. I prefer to pull it than push it. Pull it more towards me. There's not a branch there. I'm going to add one though, because I feel like it needs it. And it's sort of the way I thickened it up too, so. There we go. And the trick with getting the thin is you roll your brush in the paint so you have a nice pointy brush. And I sort of drag my brush all jagged to give it some knots. All right, there's our trees. Those look super cool. And then we've got our, I can't even remember what this was. I called it the right word earlier. The arrow holder. And I cannot think what it's called now. Oh my gosh, my brain. Okay. And then I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna paint it brown down here at the bottom. This thing that's hanging, I don't know what it is. All right, I'm gonna grab a little bit of black, darken this up back here. I feel like these are arrows back here. We're gonna say they are. Grab some of this green. I'm gonna add a little shade to some of his stuff here with the darker green. Okay, so I'm going to leave that as is for now. I'm going to let this dry completely, and then I'll show you how I'm going to put the detail in with colored pencils. And you could definitely use paint markers too. Both of those would be really awesome to do the detail with. Trying to think of anything else I could think of that might be, if you guys have any other ideas on how to put some detail in, of course you could paint the detail. That would definitely be a little more tedious and it would look beautiful. I like doing the mixed media too, so it changes it up for me. So if you guys like doing that too, let me know what you're going to use. I think these will be so beautiful sitting on your bookshelf next to your books with your mini museum, little treasure chest thing, all of that. It's such a... The whole idea about this box is we're trying to create an escape by reading and creating in a community and create a beautiful bookshelf all at the same time. So I am excited to see your guys's, and I'm going to post the next video on the detail, and then of course the video about how to put the booklet together. All right, I'll see you guys soon.